Mic check 1 2.
Still morning. Lost track of time. It is still morning. Okay. Good morning. I'm New York City Controller Brad Lander. The last few weeks have been terrifying for New York City's immigrant communities, for the city itself, this place that has been the greatest immigrant city the world has ever known, with an immigrant tradition going back 400 years. And really for the rule of law itself, we are seeing people picked up with no allegation of having done absolutely anything wrong, and processed for deportation. And then more recently, we have seen our courts and immigration hearings themselves become essentially lawless places where the due process that everyone is due by international law is being denied them. And last week, when we saw that Dylan Contreras, this New York City high school student, was essentially tricked into acquiescing to his own expedited removal, it reached a new level of horror. And then when I heard that people that were doing court watching, people in this Friend of the Court program, pastors, religious leaders, were themselves arrested, I thought it was important for me to show up myself. I can talk later if folks are interested in the travel ban, but just every day, whether you're a staff member of Congress, whether you're a person who's filed an asylum application and done everything right, whether you're the staff member of a member of Congress, you simply can't count on due process and the protections of the rule of law that you have a right to under U.S. law and under international law. So today I joined up with the Friend of the Court program. That's a program, a pro bono program here, operated by Immigration Arc, a coalition of immigrant supporting groups. And they just show up here when people have their hearings. Traditionally, this has been a situation where people are coming for a first hearing. They may have already been here a year. In many cases, they filed an asylum application, and before the last few weeks, what would happen is that they would get a future date at which their case would be heard. But what happened today in the three cases that with the families that I witnessed is that DHS moved to dismiss the deportation proceeding, and therefore make these families, in one case of family separation, subject to expedited removal. And what that means is, even though you've done everything right, you came, you registered, you submitted an asylum application, you're due a credible fear hearing under international law, they're not going to give it to you. They're going to process you for expedited removal. That's what happened to Dylan and has happened to many others. So what I expected the first time, I walked three families out. The first was a 20-something Colombian man named Camilo with his son Brian. And what Friends of the Court had led me to expect was that ICE agents would pick him up either inside the building as we were leaving or immediately outside the building after we left. So he was terrified and I was terrified, and his 2-year-old Brian was still scampering. So thankfully, we got in the elevator and we were able to walk out of the building, get a apple and some yogurt for Brian. And in that case, he wanted to go to the Colombian consulate. On the one hand, the physical relief that he felt not being arrested and being able to get out of here and get back on the train was palpable. And on the other hand, he has no idea what's coming next. The second family is a couple, and I was in the courtroom when the immigration judge ordered their family separation. In that case, not only was there a move for dismissal of the hearing, this was a married couple, but they severed the cases. DHS moved to sever the cases in order to separate the family. And the judge granted the severance, so their cases are now separated. She, with no understanding of why, we don't know that there's anything different between their two cases. She has a hearing a year from December. And his case was dismissed, and he is now eligible for expedited removal. And so, I mean, that was even harder with Camilo and Brian, the 2-year-old. They're at least together now. This couple is afraid they're going to be separated as they walk out of the building. Thankfully, in that case also, we were able to walk out, and they got on the train back to their neighborhood. They've been here a year and a half, but they also don't know what's next. And then you saw this third couple, Maria and Manuel. They have kids who are in New York City schools. They've also been here more than a year. Their kids are enrolled in city schools. So they were terrified that they were going to be picked up by ICE agents and their kids would never see them again. And thankfully, they also were able at least to walk out of the building. And in that case, they were not, their cases weren't severed. So the whole family, the parents and the kids, case deportation proceeding was dismissed. They're all now subject to expedited removal, but at least they were able to walk out of the building and get back on the train and go see their kids. They also were very relieved and also very terrified. I will just say again, when you seek asylum, what you're due under international law is a hearing that entitles you to present your case, and all three of these families had filed asylum applications, and what they're asking for is what they're due under international law, the chance to present that case. And what the Trump administration is doing is ripping that basic due process right away. They have no idea whether these cases, have merit or don't have merit, whether the fear is credible or not. They have no idea. They presented no case for it to the judge. They simply want to terrorize and strike fear in people, and sadly, they are striking fear in people. This is not public safety. This is not the rule of law. This is not due process. This is just arbitrary cruelty designed to demonize and strike fear and undermine the rule of law in our country and around the world. So that's why I thought it was important to just show up and try to be a force for saying, in this city, the greatest immigrant city, in my opinion, that the world has ever known, its elected officials are going to show up on the side of due process and the rule of law and try to be at least some modicum of useful in making sure that families aren't separated and people's rights are protected. And this city continues to deserve that statue in the harbor. We cannot let this be the demise of due process and basic democratic rights. I will end with the poem that I have recited many times and just could never have imagined would feel so apt. First they came for the communists, and I did not speak up because I was not a communist. And then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak up because I was not a socialist. And then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak up because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak up because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak up for me. Let's be a place where people speak up, where people do everything we can to be on the side of Camilo and Brian and Maria and Manuel, families just seeking safety and due process and the rule of law. Thank you. I'm going to let Chloe...
I'm going to run our Q&A. We're going to do on topic first. Yes.
We've seen yesterday, documented by Getty, that ICE officers, some of them without their badges, but some with ICE badges, were arresting people who've been called in for hearings.
Yes.
Do you feel that, in fact, they're tricking people to come into asylum hearings just to arrest them?
Well, one important thing that we learned today, it's clear that they are, in some cases, using asylum hearings in order to arrest people, in some cases to trick them, and in some cases, yes, just to give them the impossible choice. Here's your hearing. If you don't show up for it, you'll be in violation. Or if not and you show up, you might be immediately arrested and deported. One important thing is, in the case of Dylan Contreras, they tricked him into acquiescing to the dismissal of his deportation proceeding. In these cases, all three families objected to the dismissal of their deportation proceeding. They said, no, I want, you keep the deportation proceeding in place. I want my due process hearing. And the judge in these three cases denied their motion. They have 30 days to appeal because it's not clear why they're not entitled to that hearing. And yes, I mean, what we expected was that ICE would, we walked out expecting that ICE would arrest them today. I'm grateful beyond measure that that did not happen, but it is pretty clear that that's what ICE is doing quite intentionally.
DHS is saying, though, that as long as people cross the border illegally, they're basically removing their right to apply for asylum.
But these people already applied for asylum. I mean, at least in these three families, and I don't know all their cases, I just learned what you learn walking them out of the building to the subway, they have submitted asylum applications. I mean, DHS, registered them when they came. We accepted their asylum application. They've been here. They had a hearing, ostensibly to get a hearing date on their asylum application. So it's not that we denied them the right to seek asylum. I mean, they sought asylum, and now I think, contra to international law, we are changing the rules in the middle of the stream without any legal rationale or due process.
Yeah, Max.
Joe Lanner, do you believe your presence in the courtroom might have had an impact on whether they were arrested? And if so, and in general, do you think other New Yorkers should be doing this, coming to court and escorting or at least just being present?
I mean, all I can tell you is I felt more useful for the last hour than I have felt almost any time since Donald Trump was elected. So yes, I would absolutely urge New Yorkers to join the Friend of the Court program, and both to bear witness and to be there in some form of solidarity. I have no idea what would have happened, obviously, if I was not here. But what Friends of the Court said is it would be helpful if you would, first just see what we're doing here and sit in the courtroom and bear witness, and then, see if you could walk out of the building and make sure they get safely on their way. And I would definitely, I feel, it's pretty emotional, but I'm grateful that they at least, this couple especially that gets to go, that was worried they were going to be separated from their kids, and now at the very least will go be reunited with their kids while they see what's happening. Yeah, New Yorkers could both bear witness and take part in showing just that this is a city of hospitality and love and welcome. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, being worried, sadly, is advised. I guess one thing that I would do as mayor is sanctuary city laws mean that, we don't allow ICE agents in schools. So we need to make sure that, for example, school personnel have the information that they need to give out to families. So for that family that's got kids in school, we could have it so that the parent coordinator or the school social worker or someone in that school community is available to connect to them in advance. These folks just came to this hearing not knowing anything. They didn't have lawyers, they didn't have pro se assistants. Luckily, Friend of the Court is in the building, and so when they got here, they had someone to try to talk to them and let them know what was going on. Otherwise, they might well have acquiesced to the dismissed your deportation proceeding. That sounds good. That's why Dylan said okay to it. If you acquiesce, you lose your 30-day appeal right. So, but way better if they had some information before. So what the mayor should be doing is making sure that in our schools, in our shelters, in the networks that the city has, that we're connecting people to legal assistance or pro bono advice so that people would know before they come what's likely to happen, what's the best advice that they could do, if we could get them a lawyer. The city, New York City, can't, change what ICE is doing inside this building, but we absolutely could use our networks to make sure that people have the legal information that would help them make the best decisions, and we absolutely should.
Great. Any more on-topic questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, off-topic.
Yeah. I was grateful to have AOC's support when I ran for controller. I'm grateful to have her support in running for mayor. I will keep making the case that I'm the candidate in this race who best combines the progressive values that New York City is founded on and the proven management and leadership experience to deliver on my promises, and that's what I'm going to be doing every day until June 24th. I was proud to help bring ranked choice voting to New York City, and it helps you you don't put Andrew Cuomo on your ballot. Rank the candidates that you think would do the best job as mayor for New York City, and you get to rank up to 5. I hope I will be people's first choice. I urge them to include 4 other choices that are not Andrew Cuomo, and that's how you will be coalescing and making sure that Andrew Cuomo is not the next mayor, and that we have a mayor that'll both stand up and fight for our values and one who could govern effectively to deliver on them. I'm grateful to have the Congresswoman's support in this race, and I will keep plugging forward because the city deserves a mayor who's going to stand up and fight for families, fight for our values, and work hard to deliver on them. I announced some of my regrets last night. Some candidates had no regrets, it turned out. And I mean, it really is stunning. This is a place where I guess I will echo what Speaker Adams said. I mean, I do think it's worth pausing to just consider what it means that you have someone that the Attorney General and the Biden Justice Department found sexually harassed 13 women. Everyone knows he didn't even deny it last night. Marked up the health department report to undercount the deaths of people he sent into nursing homes to protect his $5 million book deal. He has a lot to regret. And like a normal person looks at harm they caused and things they've done and says, what could I learn from that? What responsibility should I take? What regrets should I have? And for him to fail to take any responsibility for his actions of any kind, it is stunning. New Yorkers can see this is not a person who's capable of learning, who's capable of taking responsibility. He was a corrupt governor. He is running a corrupt campaign. He would be a corrupt and abusive mayor. For my regrets, I made clear I would have loved to have gotten more housing built in my district. I've actually taken some responsibility for things I thought I got wrong. I had opposed the financing, scheme for the 7 train. We did an analysis and we said we got it wrong. I said we got that wrong. Let's try to do better. I think what New York needs is a mayor who can learn and do better, and that's not Andrew Cuomo. I was proud to show up last night and make my case for why I'm the candidate who best combines. And this is even a good example. Like, I think if you want the candidate on that stage who has said, here's what I got wrong and how I would do something better next, who listens and learns, who leads collaboratively, who builds good teams, who learns from mistakes so we could move forward, I'm that candidate. I did my best to present it last night. I look forward to doing even better at presenting it a week from today. I was at a subway this morning talking to voters, a lot of enthusiasm. I'm going to keep showing up and doing my job and presenting my case.
Where Governor Cuomo, former Governor Cuomo, and Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado are going to be appearing together with Mark Levine. That kind of caught us off guard. That alignment.
I'm not aware of it, so I don't have a comment on it.
Do you think it gives more credibility to Lieutenant Governor Delgado's campaign to be aligned with?
I don't think it gives anyone more credibility to be aligned with Andrew Cuomo. Thanks all.